And now, Death Valley Days. Howdy, folks. I'm the old ranger, and I have another interesting true story for you about the historic Death Valley country. Back in the 1880s, when John L. Sullivan was our heavyweight boxing champion, he was the hero of all America. He toured the country demonstrating his prowess, and wherever he went, his coming made a deep impression. How it affected one small town in the West is this story, which I call The Gambler and the Lady.
I have a large trunk on top. How do I arrange to get it to the hotel?
Don't worry about it, ma'am. I'll see it's delivered for you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Connors.
Hello, Brad.
Hey, Joe, did you see the Sullivan fight when you were in Silver City?
Sure did, Brad. That John L. packs a wallop like a mule. Knocked his man out in the first round. Must have been 1,000 people there to see it.
The steward?
Yes.
Well, I'm Brad Forrester. Mayor Kirby asked me to meet you. He's got the members of the school board waiting over at the schoolhouse to welcome you.
Oh, well, that was very nice of him.
I suppose you'd like to freshen up first, huh?
Yes, I would.
Fine. We've made arrangements for you to stay at my hotel.
You're an innkeeper, Mr. Forrester?
Well, sort of half and half, you might say.
Half and half. I don't understand.
Well, that's my place over there. The Silver Palace. Hotel upstairs.
And a saloon downstairs.
Yes, that's right.
Is there another hotel in town?
I'm afraid not. You know, I begin to suspect you don't approve of saloons, Miss Stewart, or saloon keepers.
As a school teacher, Mr. Forrester, I disapprove of any book with a lurid cover.
It isn't the cover that counts, ma'am. It's what's inside. Shall we go? Well, here we are.
This is your schoolhouse?
Yep. Oh, the town's been talking about building a new one for years, but they just never had enough money.
I can understand why they find it so difficult to hire a teacher.
Right in, Miss Stewart. Well, now, Miss Stewart, may I present our mayor, Sam Kirby.
How do you do, Mayor?
How do you do?
Our sheriff, Dan Walters.
Howdy, miss.
Mr. Baxter. He runs the livery stable. And here's Mrs. Baxter. I reckon she runs Mr. Baxter.
Fred,
And here's where you'll teach.
you don't like it, do you?
Well, it's not in very good shape. The desks are badly in need of repair. There's no slate or blackboard. How do you expect children to learn in a place like this?
Well, Miss Stewart, it takes money to keep a school in repair, and we just don't have it.
We thought we were doing pretty well to have this much.
Well, maybe we could raise some money.
Such as how? There's so many things a town needs.
In the last place I taught, we needed new books. So the ladies of the town simply held a bazaar. We raised over $100.
Admirable. But hardly enough for our needs here.
You have a better idea?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have.
How, Brad?
By inviting John L. Sullivan to fight one of his exhibition matches here.
Well, do you think he'd come?
If we pay him his guarantee, of course. And the profits from the fight would more than cover that.
Is it the schoolhouse you're really interested in, Mr. Forrester?
What else, Miss Stewart?
You know the type of spectators an exhibition such as that would attract. Gambling men, drinking men, sporting men. Your casino would make a rather handsome profit, wouldn't it?
The whole town will profit, not just me. Well, what's it to be? Shall we take a vote? All those in favor of a bazaar. All those in favor of John L. Sullivan.
The town needs that schoolhouse real bad, Miss Stewart.
Mr. Connors?
They're picking a challenger to meet Sullivan, ma'am. It's an elimination contest.
Why would an amateur want to fight John L. Sullivan?
Oh, there's $100 in it for them. And a standing offer of $1,000 from Sullivan himself for any man who can last 4 rounds with him. Of course, no one ever has.
Our challenger for John L. Sullivan. Now that you've seen how good he is, get out and spread the word about the fight. Tell everybody we got a real champion here. Here you go, Lou. Run, fight. Take it easy, boy. Well, Miss Stewart, thought you didn't believe in fisticuffs. Changed your mind?
No, Mr. Forrester. And after what I've just seen, I never will.
Well, how about it, Brad? You think I stand a pretty good chance with Sullivan?
Well, don't get overconfident, Buck. Sullivan's a little better than these other boys.
Yeah, but you saw how I took care of them boys. Not a one of them laid a finger on me.
Now that you mention it, they didn't. Hey, Buck, in all the fights you've had, has anybody ever hit you real hard in the jaw?
Why, of course not. I don't let them get that close.
In other words, you don't know whether you can take a punch or not.
Something wrong, Brad? Are you all right? What happened? Why'd you hit me, Brad?
Just testing your jaw out.
Must be pretty good. It ain't broken.
Yeah. It's so good I wouldn't trade it for, well, for the finest piece of glass in China. Step up here, gentlemen. All right, we got $40 here. $40 on salt.
My key, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't be bashful, gentlemen. Let's see
Mr. Wilkins, don't you know it's against the law to deface United States currency?
Sorry, miss, but I had a hankering to see how George Washington would look with a mustache and beard. Right handsome, don't you think?
You're quite an artist.
Thank you.
Step up, gentlemen. Step up. What have we got? Split bet here. All right, let's have the next bet. We got 40.
You seem to be the only one in town who's not betting, Mr. Connors.
I only bet on sure things, Miss Stewart.
Mr. Forrester doesn't seem to be so cautious.
Oh, I don't know. Judging by the way he's giving odds that Buck Jericho will be knocked out in the first round, he must have inside information.
He's betting against Mr. Jericho?
Oh, everybody's betting against him, ma'am. But most folks expect him to last more than 1 round. I wonder why Forrester doesn't.
So do I.
All right, gentlemen, I'm offering good odds. 3 to 1. Buck Jericho can't last the first round. Step up, gentlemen. What'd you give me? $50 on Jericho. Hey, Riley, take over here a minute, will you? Riley, you take care of you boys. Well, Miss Stewart, this is an unexpected pleasure. Would you like to make a bet?
I most certainly would not. When I heard what you're doing, I had to come in.
Oh? What am I doing?
Haven't you any loyalty? How can you bet against your own man?
It isn't a matter of loyalty, Miss Stewart. It's a matter of good business.
If you don't think he'll win, why are you letting him fight?
Miss Stewart, so far John L. Sullivan has fought over 50 men on his exhibition tour, and he's knocked out every one of them. No man expects to beat Sullivan, but it's considered an honor to fight him.
You might at least have the loyalty to bet that Mr. Jericho will survive more than 1 round.
I'd be betting against myself if I did.
You seem very sure.
I wouldn't bet if I wasn't.
Hello, ma'am. You come in to watch me work out? I'm in real good shape.
Mr. Jericho, would you say that Mr. Forrester is a good friend of yours?
Brad? Why, sure thing, ma'am.
But I understand he's been betting against you, that you'd be knocked out in the first round.
He is?
Betting big money, too. You haven't got a deal with him, have you?
To throw the match? No, ma'am. I know I can't beat John L. Sullivan, but I'm sure gonna last longer than one round.
And I wonder why he's so sure that you won't. Have you ever been knocked out?
Why, shucks, no, ma'am. Nobody's... except the other day. Brad kind of stretched me out, but that don't count. He was just seeing what kind of chin I had.
Brad knocked you out. You mean he hit you once and you went down?
Well, I wasn't expecting it.
Mr. Jericho, you want this town to be proud of you when you stand up to Mr. Sullivan, don't you?
Well, sure I do, ma'am.
And you want to make a good impression for yourself and for the school, and last more than one round with him, don't you?
Of course I do, ma'am. You bet.
Well, will you take some advice from a school teacher who doesn't know anything about prize fighting, but does know some simple facts?
I'm a listening teacher.
When you get in the ring with Mr. Sullivan, don't stand up and try to fight him. You know, the longer you keep your chin out of his reach, the longer you're going to stay on your feet. Just keep moving away from him.
Keep moving away?
For the first round, at least.
Keep moving away.
It's simple arithmetic. If he can't hit you, he can't knock you out.
All right. If you ask me, I'll do it for you.
That's fine. Oh, there's one other thing. Let's not tell Mr. Forrester about this. Let's surprise him the day of the fight.
Sure thing, ma'am. I like surprises. Just keep moving away.
Your attention, please. In this corner at 220 pounds, the pride of Joshua, our own Buck Jericho. In this corner at 208 pounds, the heavyweight champion of the world, John L. Sullivan. Now, you men know the rules. Shake hands and come out fighting.
What's the matter with Buck? He's never fought like that before. Get in there, Buck! Slug it out!
Stay away from me, Mr. Jericho!
Hey, what's the matter with you, Buck? You scared?
Keep away from me!
Get in, Buck!
Keep away!
Buck, get in!
Aren't you pleased that he's doing so well, Mr. Forrester?
Is this your doing?
He's my first pupil in Joshua. What do you think of my teacher?
You did a good job with him, Miss Stewart. My congratulations.
Stay away from me, Mr. Jericho!
Well, that's the end of round one. My bets. You win, Miss Stewart. You know, I thought I was pretty smart. It looks like I run into somebody a whole lot smarter.
You're doing fine, Mr. Jericho. I'm proud of you.
Well, I stayed away from them, just like you said. Did you hear the way they booed me? Everybody thinks I'm scared of them. So I'm going out this round and really show them.
Oh, no, don't do that, Mr. Jericho. You'll get hurt. Mr. Baxter! Oh, Mr. Baxter! What happened?
Somebody hit me over the head and took all the money.
Oh, this is terrible. Who was it?
No, he was masked.
Oh.
How long have you been here, Brad?
Oh, about 15 minutes, Sheriff.
Why did you leave the fight before it was over?
Because I had a lot of bets to pay off. I wanted to figure out how much money I had to draw out of the bank.
A likely story.
What do you mean by that, Miss Stewart?
Somebody held up the box office while the fight was on, slugged Mr. Baxter, and got away with all the receipts.
And you think I did it?
I found this on the floor, Mr. Forrester. A cufflink. It has your initial on it.
I've been in and out of that box office all week helping out. You know that. I could have dropped this any time.
Strange, no one found it until after the holdup.
But I've been here ever since I left the arena. Ask Riley.
Oh, I'm sure Mr. Riley will agree with you. He has worked for you a long time, hasn't he?
Sheriff, I came here straight from the arena. I give you my word.
The word of a gambler, a saloon keeper?
You know, you ought to be careful judging everything by appearances, Miss Stewart. Sometimes they can be mighty deceiving.
Sheriff, I suggest that you ask him to open his safe.
What about it, Brad? Do you mind?
Yes, I do mind, Sheriff. What's in my safe is my business.
Brad, you know if you force me, I could put you under arrest and get a court order to open it.
Now, come closer, Miss Stewart. I want you to be the first to see all my loot. Satisfied?
He must have hidden it somewhere else.
It just has to be me, doesn't it, Miss Stewart? It couldn't be somebody else. Is that the way you all feel?
You must admit, Brad, that circumstances don't look too good for you. You left the fight early. You lost a lot of money
All
in
right,
your bets.
Mrs. Baxter, you don't have to say any more.
You mean you're ready to admit your guilt?
I hope for your sake, Miss Stewart, you never find yourself in a position where appearances are against you.
If people conduct themselves above suspicion, Mr. Forrester, appearances won't be against them.
Brad, you've always had a good reputation up to now. I'm not going to arrest you without further evidence. But I'm going to check every man that leaves this town. And you'd better hope that that money shows up.
Well, you might as well close up, Riley. Looks like we won't be doing any business.
May I have my bill, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, there'll be no charge from Miss Stewart's room, Barney.
I prefer to pay.
As you wish.
That would be $14, ma'am.
Oh, Mr. Connors, thank you so much for taking care of my trunk. I would never have been able to get it to the express office alone.
My pleasure, ma'am. My bill, please.
That will be $14 too, Mr. Connors.
I'm sorry things haven't worked out for you here.
Thank you.
But I'll be right glad having your company on the return trip.
Well, Barney, how does it feel to be working in a hotel with no guests? At a saloon with no customers?
Maybe business will pick up, boss.
I'm afraid not.
Say, boss, look at this, will you?
George Washington with a beard. What about it?
That's the bill I used to buy my ticket to the fight.
You don't say. Well, what do you know?
Oh, Mr. Connors, sorry, you'll have to open your case, see what's inside. Official business, you know.
Of course.
Howdy, Miss Stewart. Of course, you're exempt.
Thank you.
I do wish you'd change your mind and stay, honey. We'll get that new schoolhouse soon. We really will.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Baxter.
Thank you, Mr. Connors. You better get aboard now, Miss Stewart. Joe, you can pull out anytime you're ready.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is that your trunk back there, Miss Stewart?
Yes?
Did you look in it, Sheriff?
Why, no.
I wonder if we could have a look in that before you leave, Miss Stewart.
What do you mean?
I'd like to see what's in that trunk of yours.
Are you suggesting there's something in that truck that shouldn't be in it?
I wouldn't know, Miss Stewart, until you show us.
What are you trying to say, Forrester? Are you accusing Miss Stewart of robbing the box office?
I left the arena early, remember? I don't know what Miss Stewart did after I left.
Brad, you're carrying things pretty far.
Am I? Today you good people accuse me of being a thief and forced me to open my safe. You didn't find anything, but you still think I'm guilty. Now I'm asking Miss Stewart to prove her innocence.
This is outrageous.
You're not going to let him get away with it, Sheriff.
I reckon he has as much right as the rest of us. Joe, let's put that trunk over here.
Yes. Give me a hand here, Sheriff. Well, Miss Stewart, it seems you are about to leave town and take our schoolhouse with you.
I don't know how that got in there.
And you let us think Brad did it. And you were going to teach our children.
I reckon I'll have to place you under arrest, Miss Stewart.
Sheriff, I swear I didn't take that money.
Sorry, Miss Stewart, but appearances are against you. How do we know you're really a school teacher? Maybe you make a habit of moving into town, stalking people into putting on bazaars, and then running off with the receipts. Looks that way, doesn't it?
Yes, I guess it does. Mr. Forrester, I have no right to expect you to believe me, but I give you my word I did not take that money.
I know you didn't. You couldn't have. Because Connors did.
Me? If I took the money, then what's it doing in her trunk?
Getting an inspection-free ride out of town.
I'm a respectable watch salesman. Why should I steal money?
I wondered why you were so anxious to help Miss Stewart with her trunk. I presume you would have been equally helpful when she arrived at her destination.
The fact that I helped Miss Stewart with her trunk hardly proves I'm a thief.
Maybe not, but this does. My clerk bought his fight ticket with this marked greenback yesterday, and this morning you paid your hotel bill with it. There's only one way you could have gotten it.
Get him back!
You got a glass jaw too, fella.
I don't know what to say, Mr. Forrester.
Well, you might start by calling me Brad. Try it.
Brad?
There, that's better. You're smiling. I think there's hope for you.
Oh, Brad, I've got an awful lot to learn.
I think we both have.
Will you be my teacher?
I couldn't ask for a more promising student. Lesson number 1.